It feels odd to write this down, but somehow it's cathartic. A few years ago, my life seemed perfect. I had a thriving career, a long-term partner, and a tight-knit group of friends who felt like family, or so I thought. Now, as I reflect, I wonder how I missed the signs. Let me take you back. In college, I was part of a close group of 7 friends, 4 women and 3 men who met through our academic department. We weren't just friends. We were inseparable, sharing late-night study sessions, parties, and a bond that felt unbreakable. Or so I believed. There was Ethan, my roommate and closest confidant. He was like a brother. We lived together for 4 years, sharing countless laughs and always having each other's backs. If someone had told me he'd betray me, I'd have dismissed it as absurd. Then there was Nicole, who was already part of the group when I joined. We started dating in our sophomore year, and it felt effortless, like everything just clicked. Nicole and I were together for 8 years, navigating ups and downs, and I genuinely believed we were headed toward marriage, kids, a future. It seemed inevitable. When we got together, I wasn't just gaining a partner, I was welcomed into a broader family of friends. Ethan, though not initially tight with everyone, got pulled into the group through our closeness. Life felt full and vibrant. Even after college, we stayed connected, meeting for birthdays, weddings, and group vacations. From the outside, I had it all: a flourishing family business, a devoted partner, and a best friend I could rely on. But looking back, there were red flags I ignored. About a year before Ethan's wedding, Nicole and I hit a rough patch. I was ready to settle down to build a life together, but she kept stalling. She'd say things like, "I need more time," or "let's wait a bit." At first, I thought she had a point. Our careers were demanding, but it started to feel off. We'd been living together for 4 years, our finances were stable, and I was doing well running my father's office supply business. Marriage seemed like the logical next step. Yet every time I raised the topic, she deflected, claiming I was pressuring her or should focus on work. It didn't add up. I was already succeeding professionally. Around that time, Nicole began going out more without me, staying late at group hangouts, attending events I skipped, or spending weekends with friends while I worked. I didn't think much of it. After 8 years, I trusted her completely. In hindsight, I see how naive I was. She didn't pull away dramatically. She still smiled, laughed, and acted like everything was fine, even when it wasn't. I told myself every couple has rough patches and we'd figure it out. Then Ethan got engaged. He'd met Lauren a year earlier, and their relationship moved fast, which surprised me. Ethan wasn't the type to settle down, but Lauren, who came from a well-off family, seemed to change him. When he asked me to be his best man, I was honored. This was my closest friend, someone who'd been there for me through thick and thin, and I wanted to support him on his big day. Nicole was thrilled about the wedding too, diving into planning with Lauren, discussing dresses and details. It made sense. She was close to Ethan as well. The wedding was extravagant, held at a luxurious hotel. Nicole and I arrived the day before, and despite our recent tension, I felt hopeful. I thought the romantic atmosphere might bring us closer. Weddings have a way of reminding people what love and commitment mean, don't they? But then a migraine hit. Stress often triggers them for me, and that day it was bad. Nicole wanted to attend the rehearsal dinner, so I told her to go ahead while I rested. Later, when the pain worsened, I realized I'd forgotten my medication. I decided to head to the car to drive to a pharmacy nearby. That's when I saw them, Ethan and Nicole, in my car, kissing like they didn't have a care in the world. At first, I thought my mind was playing tricks. I stood there, frozen, unable to process it. My brain refused to accept what I was seeing. They were so caught up in each other they didn't even notice me. I don't know how long I stood there, maybe 30 seconds, maybe a minute. It felt like an eternity. My chest tightened, my hands shook, and I thought I might be sick. But instead of confronting them, I turned and walked back to the hotel. My mind was spinning, but I knew a public scene wasn't the answer. I needed to think. Back in my room, I sat staring at the walls, the betrayal sinking in like a slow poison. I didn't cry, I was too numb. But that night was only the beginning. The true extent of their deceit was worse than I could have imagined. After the wedding, I thought the betrayal was limited to Nicole and Ethan. But in the days that followed, I realized others in the group knew. They weren't innocent bystanders. They'd covered for the affair and even laughed about it. My so-called family of friends had mocked my pain behind my back, acting like it was a joke. I could have cut them off and moved on, but that didn't feel right. They thought they could betray me, laugh at my heartbreak, and face no consequences. They were mistaken. I didn't want loud confrontations or public drama. I had a better plan, one that would let their own actions catch up with them. Kyle was the loudest that night at the hotel, chuckling about how Ethan and Nicole might get caught someday. His smug tone still echoes in my head. Kyle was a sales manager at a tech company, always bragging about his boss's trust and his path to promotion. But I knew something he didn't advertise: his side hustle. During a drunken conversation years ago, he'd boasted about selling company leads to competitors for extra cash, laughing about how no one would ever find out. That night, I decided it was time for accountability. Using an anonymous email account from my college days, I sent a detailed message to his employer, attaching screenshots of texts where Kyle bragged about his scheme. I was meticulous, leaving no trace back to me. Within days, word spread through mutual contacts that Kyle had been fired. His boss didn't take kindly to betrayal. I felt no guilt. He'd laughed at my pain and betrayed my trust. Now he faced the consequences of his own dishonesty. Then there was Sarah, who stayed quiet that night but laughed along, her silence just as telling. She always played the neutral peacemaker in the group, but her actions showed where her loyalty lay. Sarah ran a food blog, collaborating with local restaurants for promotions. But she had a dirty secret. She charged struggling eateries for fake reviews, sometimes without even visiting them. She once bragged about giving a 5-star rating to a place she'd never been to. I created a burner account and contacted some of the restaurants she'd worked with, posing as a concerned patron and sharing screenshots of her offering paid reviews. It didn't take long for one owner to post a scathing exposé online, complete with evidence. The post went viral locally, and Sarah's reputation collapsed. Her followers dropped, her partnerships vanished, and she eventually deleted her account. Amy was the group's social connector, always in the middle of gossip. She smiled to my face after everything, but I remembered her laughter that night. Amy worked as a marketing consultant, her career built on her reputation and high-profile clients. But she had a secret. She'd never finished college. Years ago, in a vulnerable moment, she'd admitted to dropping out and using a fake degree to land jobs. She'd been coasting on charm ever since. I waited until she announced a major new client, one that could define her career. Then, using another anonymous email, I sent her employer public records showing she never graduated. They connected the dots quickly. Amy lost the client, and her company launched an internal investigation. She wasn't fired immediately, but her reputation took a hit, and in her industry, word spreads fast. She struggled to land new contracts afterward. The other two friends played smaller roles in the betrayal, but I didn't let them off entirely. One had a habit of sharing private details online. I anonymously reported their posts for privacy violations, leading to a temporary account suspension that forced them to rethink their actions. The other spread toxic workplace gossip to climb the corporate ladder. I sent an anonymous tip to their boss, resulting in a stern HR meeting and increased scrutiny at work. It wasn't dramatic, but it sent a message. Actions have consequences. The best part? None of them suspected me. I stayed in the shadows, watching as their lives unraveled. This wasn't about petty revenge, it was about justice. They'd mocked my pain, protected Ethan and Nicole, and thought they'd face no repercussions. They were wrong. When it was all over, I felt an unexpected calm. I didn't need to confront them, demand apologies, or raise my voice. I simply removed them from my life and let their own choices bring them down.